Coming up on Network Africa, Senegal's health minister sacked after Thursday's hospital fire that killed 11 babies. At least 50 people killed in jihadist attack on an eastern rural village in Burkina Faso. Plus, the U.S. seizes former Gambian leader Yahya Jammeh's $3.5 million mansion. Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin in Senegal, where President Macky Sall has sacked his health minister, Abdoulaye Diouf Sarr. All this is coming after 11 babies were unfortunately killed by a fire in a hospital. Mr. Saris is to be replaced by Marie Kemese, the ministry's Director General, following the tragedy in Tivaouane. The blaze, which rapidly engulfed the newborn unit at the hospital, is being blamed on an electrical short circuit. President Sall has declared 3 days of national mourning and has also ordered an investigation into the tragedy. He's expected to visit Tivaouane on Saturday to meet with the relatives of the victims. Many observers say that Senegal's health system is beset by staffing, infrastructure, equipment, and funding problems. A series of other deaths also have raised concerns about maternal and infant health in the West African nation, known for having some of the best hospitals in the region. South Africa's police has opened a murder case against the father for the death of 3 of his sons after they consumed an energy drink that he allegedly gave them. 2 of the siblings are said to have died at school, and the third died on the way to the hospital. They were aged 6, 13, and 16. A 4th child who consumed the drink is said to be in critical condition at a local hospital, and a 5th brother did not consume the energy drink and is said to be fine. Well, the father is reportedly under guard in hospital after allegedly trying to commit suicide by poisoning himself. In a statement, the Education Department in Gauteng province expressed sadness over the deaths of the 3 siblings at the Ratanda Primary and Kayan Lesedi secondary schools. The Elders, a group of independent global leaders working together for peace and human rights, have met with South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa as it marks 15 years of the body's existence. The meeting is to report back on developments since their last meeting in 2019 and other developmental issues that the country is dealing with. Among issues discussed were efforts towards curbing climate change, just energy transition, healthcare, and the issue of African-produced vaccines not having access to markets. They also touched on the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the impact of the lingering conflict, what the lingering conflict is having on the rest of the world. The Elders Forum was founded by the late global icon Nelson Mandela in 2007 and had among its members a long list of leaders on many fronts, including the late former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan and Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu, who died on Boxing Day last year.
It's been a privilege to speak with you, Mr. President, this morning about the interlocking crises facing South Africa and the wider world, and what steps we can take to support peace, justice, human rights, and a sustainable future at this critical time. We talked, as you mentioned, Mr. President, about the climate crisis and the need for a just transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy. And I personally would like to start by acknowledging the long and proud history of coal mining in South Africa, the pivotal role it played in the country's development and prosperity, the equally distinguished contribution made by mine workers to the liberation struggle against apartheid, and the vital stake that mining communities have in today's South Africa. But it would be dishonest to pretend that coal has a future. It's right to ensure that vulnerable workers and their communities, especially women and young people, are supported and involved fully in the transition.
I would also like to briefly mention the impact of the war in Ukraine on Africa. This is a hugely troubling issue for all the elders, and we spoke at length about it during our meeting in Cape Town these past few days. The impact of this war on food and energy prices is devastating for hundreds of millions of people in Africa. Across the world, over 260 million people unconnected to the conflict face extreme poverty due to the impact of the Russia's invasion on global food and energy prices, compounding existing inequality and the COVID crisis.
At least 50 people have been killed in deadly attacks attributed to armed jihadists in Burkina Faso. This attack, carried out on Wednesday in Majoari community, was announced on Thursday and is said to be the bloodiest since the one perpetrated nearly a year ago in Solhan in the northeast that killed around 132 people. Attacks against civilians and military have multiplied in recent weeks in Burkina Faso. Like other towns in the north and east of Burkina Faso, such as Djibu and Titao, the town of Majoari has been placed under blockade by the jihadists who strike in these regions. However, the governor of the eastern region has assured that security actions are underway to restore peace in the region. The U.S. Justice Department says it has secured the forfeiture of a mansion bought by former Gambian President Yahya Jammeh for $3.5 million with alleged proceeds from corruption. The property in Potomac, Maryland, is said to have been acquired through a trust set up by his wife, Zineb Jammeh. A statement by the department says it has now been forfeited to the U.S., along with all rental income generated by the property since a complaint was filed in 2020. The former president is accused of having conspired with family and associates by using shell companies and overseas trusts to launder his alleged corrupt proceeds throughout the world. The Gambian government this week says it was ready to prosecute Mr. Yahya Jammeh for what it called the myriad of crimes he committed during his rule. However, Mr. Jammeh has denied allegations of wrongdoing. As the African Development Fund celebrates its 50th anniversary this year, the African Development Bank has launched 50 Voices, 50 Stories, a series which highlights the fund's life-changing impact in beneficiary countries. The campaign complements broader celebratory activities at the African Development Bank Group annual meeting in Accra, Ghana. AFDB President Dr. Akinwumi Adesina says its creation in 1972. Since the creation, the fund has been an important source of concessionary resources and technical support to low-income African countries. Our correspondent, Teniola Shobowale, has more.
Across Africa, the African Development Fund has numerous stories to tell as it celebrates 50 years. The ADF was created in 1972 to accompany the least fortunate African countries on the road to social and economic progress.
The African Development Fund has done so much in 50 years, creating hope everywhere. In 50 years, African Development Fund has financed 2,750 projects, operations that have transformed the lives of millions of people. In the last 5 years alone, the ADF has connected 15.5 million people to electricity. It has supported 74 million people with improved access to agriculture. It has provided 50 million people with access to transport. And it has provided 42 million people with improved water and sanitation.
ADF promotes economic and social development by providing concessional loans and grants to public and private sectors. The fund's resources are replenished every 3 years by its donor countries. As negotiations for the ADF's replenishment takes place this year, international partners speak on commitments and the fund's importance over the past 50 years.
Canada has been a supporter. We were an original shareholder. So what I can say is that we've been here for a long time and we will continue to be with the ADF in the future. We think there's a lot of work to be done. There are a lot of challenges facing the world and facing the continent, but we're looking forward to working with the ADF to tackle those.
Multilateral funds like this one are really, really essential if we're going to solve global challenges that we all face, like climate change, pandemics and so on. And in that respect, I think, we really recognise the unique kind of offer of this fund, both in terms of the real local insight and knowledge that the bank brings to Africa, but also the real niches and strengths that the fund has developed over time.
With respect to the future, I think the fund will be incredibly important for Africa, but also in a global perspective, because there are transformational changes which are needed. And to make these changes happen, we need enthusiasm, strong leadership, and ownership. And this is what the fund has to offer. So I'm looking forward to successful replenishment.
Though the continent faces many challenges, from COVID recovery to climate change, and now the looming food crisis from the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the ADF Celebrating 50 highlights the success stories from across the continent and also plans for the future to meet the evolving needs of countries on the continent. From Accra, Ghana, Teniola Shobowale for Channels Television News.
It's Children's Day here in Nigeria, a day dedicated to celebrate children all over the country. Although the United Nations set November 20 aside for World Children's Day celebration, the day is celebrated on different dates in different countries. While Nigeria celebrates its young ones every May 27th. It's a day to bring to the fore the challenges facing children with regards to their education, physical growth and development, and their general well-being. Children's Day is also serves to recognize that all minors and children have the right to health, education and protection. Joining us now to talk about the rights of children is Collins Nado, Director, Standing Committee on Human Rights and Peace. He joins us from Port Harcourt. Hello, Collins. Thank you for speaking to us. On this special day of Children's Day, tell us how important it is to celebrate children.
All right. Thank you very, very much for having me on. Thank you very much. My name is Collins Nado, and I am representing the Medical Students Association for the country of Nigeria. And in celebration of Children's Day, the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Peace saw the need to speak on the rights of children, okay? Especially when it comes to child abuse and child harassment, especially practiced by parents and older adults as well as other caregivers. Okay, as a means of definition, I'd just like to quickly run through what child abuse in itself is. Okay, child abuse can be defined as when a parent or a caregiver, whether through an action or in an instance of an inaction as well, fail to provide for a child, inflict harm on a child, cause emotional distress on a child, or even in severe instances, result in death of a child. This is referred to as child abuse. Okay, and there are basically 4 types of this child abuse, and I'll address them chronologically as based off of the incidence or the rate at which it happens in our society these days. I'm starting off with the emotional abuse. Okay, this is an instance where the psychological and social aspect of child abuse is affected. Talking about for the child now, right? So in an instance where the child the child's emotion is tampered with regards to, let's say, the words the parents use on the child in the process of trying to discipline the child, or in an instance where the child doesn't meet up with the parents' expectations. This can tamper with the child emotionally, and it translates later on in adulthood to an unbecoming adult, or an adult who wouldn't contribute positively to societal development, in that certain signs like mental health challenges, for instance, or psychosocial problems may arise following children who have experienced situations where they were abused emotionally as a child, right, with harsh words from their parents. Another example of type of child abuse.
Sorry to interrupt you at this time, but we need to go on a break. But we'd like to thank you so much for speaking to us on the program.
All right, thank you very much.
Still ahead on the program, we're still celebrating Children's Day. On our Africa Tech segment, we will be speaking to a 2020 IBM champion for developers. Do join us again. Welcome back to the program. Education experts in the diaspora have been speaking about tackling some of the root causes of insecurity by reducing the number of out-of-school children in the country. While commenting on ways in which the diaspora can help, the Chair Education Committee of the Nigeria-British Business Forum, Mrs. Ibironke Adiagbo, says while government needs to prioritize education, there is the need for successful diasporans to put their skills to use by socially investing in the sector back home.
We need to prioritize education because education is what fuels the manpower. Right? You won't be here if you don't have education. I won't be here without education. At the moment, the government spends 7% of their annual budget on education. The recommended spend should be about 20%. So I would encourage the government of the day to try and increase the budget allocation on education to make sure all those kids out of school are in school and getting education, and to try and improve the security. Because some parents are not sending their kids to school because of the insecurity challenges. Let's work hard at improving the security challenges to make sure every child, every parent is comfortable sending their kids to school. What I would try and encourage Nigerians to do is when they find themselves up there in foreign lands, they shouldn't forget their country. Because I must say most of us are guilty of that. When we find ourselves very comfortable out there, we forget all about home. Please, 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 don't forget about home. You know, remember the people back home and try and do something to help them. Socially invest in your country because we only have one country and it's Nigeria.
Also, catch the full interview with Ibironke Adiagbo. Do watch Diaspora Network on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Back here in Nigeria, a federal high court sitting in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, has cleared former President Goodluck Jonathan to contest the 2023 presidential election. The presiding judge, Justice Issa Dashe, who gave the judgment today, held that Dr. Jonathan's right to vie for the office of president again cannot be stopped by any retroactive law. In the past weeks, there have been reports that the former president may be throwing his hat in the ring to contest the presidency, but that became a matter of contention due to the constitutional provision which allows Nigeria's head of government to be elected to office for a fixed period of time known as tenure of 4 years from the date the oath of office is taken. In the meantime, Dr. Jonathan has been criticizing the National Assembly over some of the provisions in the 2022 Electoral Act. Speaking in Abuja at the official presentation of a book on political party governance, former President Jonathan says the laws made by the current assembly appear to target individuals and not for the good of the country. He says political parties must be allowed to adopt their own process of selecting and electing their candidates.
Issues of political party administration dominate discussion at the official presentation of a book by former Minister of State for Power, Mr. Mohammed Wakil. This is perhaps the first time that former President Goodluck Jonathan will be meeting physically with the former chairman of INEC, Professor Atahiru Jega, after the 2015 general elections. Done with the pleasantries, the former president, who is a special guest of honor, takes a swipe at the National Assembly over what he describes as laws made to constrict political parties.
The National Assembly cannot make laws and lock up all the political parties together. Political parties must have the leverage of doing certain things differently. We have to institutionalize democracy. The quality of delegates, and from what we are hearing, money has been shared, some people have been going back to delegates to ask for refund when they fail the election, is extremely disgraceful. It is only in Nigeria you hear such things. I've been involved in elections across Africa since I left office. There are areas that National Assembly can look at it. We are all that shares and accused of corruption. We should make laws that the corrupt practices in the electoral system, how do we reduce it?
He calls for the removal of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act, as he berates those condemning President Buhari for refusing to sign the amended Electoral Act.
I believe that the best way for us to make our laws is to institutionalize democracy. This section, this 84, so that the controversial section that I've been, to me, if you read through that law, 80% or more of that section have nothing to do with it, or supposed to be expunged from the Electoral Act. Let me use the opportunity to advise the National Assembly that laws must be designed to solve problems, not designed to create problems. And laws must be made assuming that those who are making the law are blind, just like the judges. So assume that the judge is blind and just use the scale and the sword. Laws must not be made to target a group of individuals or an individual. And when you go into that system of making laws, you will make this terrible mistake that has really messed up the whole primaries going on.
With the speeches over, former President Goodluck Jonathan officially presents the book to the public. As the nation prepares for party primaries, the former president was silent on his purported presidential ambition, as journalists were prevented from reaching him to speak about it.
On our Africa Tech segment today, and still in commemoration of Children's Day, we'll be talking to 2020 IBM Champion for Developers, Okwemikwo Disu. He is a programmer, Cloudinary media developer, and developer advocate who delved into the world of technology at the age of 5. Okwemikwo is here with us on the program to share his experience. Hello, Okwemikwo. Thank you for speaking to us. Happy Children's Day.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really nice to talk to everyone, and nice to talk to you too.
Let's start with how you got into technology. You started at the age of 5. How has the experience been so far for you?
It's been a really nice journey so far, to be very honest. Just trying to build some stuff relating to the problems we face these days. So it's really nice stuff, just trying to build, and that's my normal goal as a developer, just trying to build a couple of things. And yes, that's just it, basically.
So most people...
It's been a very good journey so far, and I've been achieving a lot.
All right, most people underestimate young people that are trying to make a change in the world. For yourself, have you faced any obstacles regarding this? And, you know, how did you combat them, or how do you, tackle that?
Yes, actually, most young people actually face many problems, and that's basically because of environment and sometimes friends. In some cases, you get to keep some friends that are not necessary, so really just move with the right people, and then don't underestimate yourself, just be with the right mind and all of that. And then, like, whenever you get rejections, of course, just it's actually pushes you forward, and just don't keep learning, because it's actually been my thing to be learning. I've taken multiple courses, more than 20 courses so far in my career. So I've actually been doing a lot learning. Sometimes I stay up very late, and then I get to like learn many things just on my own and jot some things down. Really, that's what I do. And for young people who are actually facing this problem of underestimation, just keep pushing and go online, check resources, check people, because honestly, I would not have been where I am if not for some people, honestly, because sometimes I get down and then I watch some videos, get inspirations from there. I mean, not just inspirational videos, I mean videos from people better than me. Yes.
Right. Thank you so much, Okwemi Kwadisu. Know there's much more for you to achieve, and happy Children's Day to you once again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And that's it on the program today. Many thanks for watching and being a part of it throughout this week. I'm Layo Laride. Have a great weekend.